Why do we set boundaries in relationships? And how do we do it, even though it's so challenging sometimes? I want to take some time and talk to you about both how to set limits and why. As we look at the life of Jesus and we see such a powerful, effective person who's broadcast to everyone that he can help them, he's accumulating people. He's just surrounded by people who are wanting more of what he has, and they're wanting more than he's ready to hand out. He's got a mission. He's moving through the crowds. He's moving through time in giving access to some and walking right past others. How is this not an unloving thing to do? How is this an example of being somebody who's so compassionate? It has to do with he understands where he's going, and he understands that there's a line. There's a line where his life stops and your life starts. We all have this, there's two people in any relationship, and it's important that you and I not only realize this, but practice it. Now, I know that some of us had the line in our wedding vows that the two shall become one. I realize that. But then you spend 25 years fighting over which one, right? And it's not true that there's only one. I understand covenant. I understand spiritual oneness. But I also understand there are two people. You are unique. You are you. And so it's key that we understand that there is this line. Now, we watch Jesus as he's coming to another city, and there's a man named blind Bartimaeus. You could look it up. Blind Bartimaeus is so blind, his first name is blind. All right? Blind Bartimaeus hears that Jesus, the miracle worker, is coming to town. Jesus is coming. Every blind person he's ever met gets their sight back. Blind Bartimaeus is so excited he can hardly stand himself, so he's crying out. He's, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. And his friends are like, shh, Jesus got things to do. Be quiet. And he cries out even louder, and Jesus hears him. And so Jesus summons blind Bartimaeus to come over and talk to him. And there he sits. And Jesus walks up to this line, and he stops. And he says to blind Bartimaeus, what is it that you want? Now, Bart has got to be standing there like, what? He grabs one of his buddies and says, hey, is Jesus blind too? See, if you and I were batting 1,000, I mean, every single person we prayed for got healed. We'd be running through the hospitals, running to every bed and laying hands and making declarations, and we'd just be raising people out of there just because we could. And yet, Jesus comes to this line and he stops and he says, what is it that you want? And Bart says, my sight. And Jesus says, here. See, these boundaries are so vital in respecting the freedom and the responsibility of other people that we tend to obliviate because we want to help. I got a solution for you. Get out of my way. I'm going to solve your problem. That is not understanding really how healthy relationships work. There is a line. There are two people here. I want to talk to you about boundaries and define them a little clearer for you. Boundaries are things that keep in my life what I want to keep in. So the things like my joy, my peace, my honor, respect, these are the things I want my life filled with. I want love and honesty and truth. I want all this stuff in my life. I don't want it to go away for anything. So I build a boundary to keep that in. So imagine if I had a toddler, I was going to let him out in the yard to play, I would make sure that there was a fence because the toddler is going to keep on going until they find danger, right? So that boundary keeps my toddler in. Boundaries are also going to keep out of my life what I want to keep out. So dishonor, irresponsibility, abusive behavior, chaotic relationships. I'm going to keep that out of my yard. Keep that out of my life. So the same fence that keeps the toddler in is the same fence that keeps the Rottweiler out. And boundaries help me protect my priorities. And by priorities, I mean my time, my energy, my resources, and my relationships. These things are mine. They're nobody else's. Nobody else is going to give an account for how I use my time. So if I spend all day on Facebook and YouTube, that's nobody's problem but mine. And I'm not going to get it back. If I spend all my time working, or I spend all my time doing something else, how I spend my time is my call. Some people like to blame this on other people, but it's your decision to work where you work. It's your decision to use your phone how you use your phone. It's your call. Nobody's going to give an account for how you treat your body, what energy level you have, how you eat, how you sleep. These are yours. These are part of the yes that you're managing about your life. Nobody spends your money for you. You do that. Nobody commits your talents. That's your decision. Now, maybe you are believing you're powerless over these things, but it's just because you're thinking that somebody else can control you, which isn't true. As a result, you're accountable for these things in your life. It's not somebody else's job. Your marriage, your relationship with God, your relationship with your children, priority relationships are yours. They're not somebody else's responsibility. So when it comes to boundaries, the reason why you set them is because you're managing your yes, the important pieces of your life that you want to stay in, and the things that would rob you of this quality of life.